Southeast Radio's Business Matters with Carl Fitzpatrick.
Southeast Radio.
Well, Hidden Hearing has become a significant player in the hearing aid market since it first entered Ireland. Now, with a dominant market share and plans for further growth, their managing director, Stephen Leddy, joins us on the phone. Stephen, you've actually been working with the company for over 20 years.
Good morning, Carl. Yeah, that's right. I joined the company as finance director, so I qualified as an accountant in 95, and I was in practice for a number of years, and I was poached by a client in retail. I suppose I was just qualified about a year or two, and that got me interested in the dynamicism of retail and, you know, the agility of retail. And I then moved on from there to Hidden Hearing, and I've been here ever since, and I became managing director in 2002. So I've been at the helm for quite a while.
How has the company evolved and grown over the past 2 decades?
So I guess we've grown organically. We never needed to acquire any competitors in the market, but we've certainly particularly over the last 5 years, we've changed the way we look at our own business. We changed the way we think about the market. In the old days, we used to think about, you know, KPIs and you know, how many units did we sell and what type of hearing devices. Now we just focus on our vision, which is to help more people hear better. And what that does is that creates an urgency to help people, which in turn fills our diary. And then, you know, the rest follows after that.
And provide us with an overview of the potential size of the market here in Ireland for hearing aids. And is it a competitive or very much a fragmented market?
Yeah, so the market it's quite hard to get stats on the market. I mean, we ask the HSE a number of times a year to give us information on the number of free hearing aids that they provide. But the market is circa about 60,000 units. It is very fragmented. There's lots of small players, lots of independent guys, and then there's some big players. And we'd be the biggest in the market with about a 44% market share. But Ireland, along with Finland, has the lowest penetration of hearing devices in Europe. So that means that the Irish people are not addressing their hearing loss. And if you think that, you know, by 2030, over 1.3 million people will be over the age of 60. And we know from studies that 1 in 3 of those will have a hearing loss. So there's a significant amount of people in Ireland that are going about their daily lives with untreated hearing loss.
And what do you think the reason for that is?
Well, I guess there's a stigma, there's ageism attached to it. So, you know, people still perceive, and I get really upset when I see adverts in papers with massive hearing devices, you know, flesh-coloured hearing devices behind ears, because that's not what the modern hearing devices look like. And people still perceive, you know, you have to be handicapped to wear a hearing aid. And I guess now as we understand more about mental health, about, you know, our own health and wellness movements, etc., that the stigma is reducing on hearing devices. Hearing devices now have nanotechnology in them, and we know we have wonderful studies now that link hearing loss to early onset of dementia, to higher stress levels, to diabetes, to strokes, even to you know, social withdrawal, isolation. So there are many, many reasons for one to address hearing loss as soon as possible. And we know that it takes, on average, 10 years from the time somebody has a hearing loss to doing something about it. And that's unfortunate.
As the technology has become more advanced, have you seen an increase in uptake for hearing aids?
Yes, we have, because, you know, years and years ago, people would only get a hearing aid to if they found themselves, you know, turning up the TV or, you know, for a one-dimensional reason. People are, you know, at 60 are much younger. They're more active. They do more things. They socialize more. And the modern hearing device now caters for a wider range of hearing loss. So even if you have you could have mild hearing loss and still struggle in social situations like restaurants or boardrooms or, you know, any sort of social situation. And speech and noise is the key. So people struggle in noise to hear certain words. And that's what the modern hearing devices now can help with. So, for example, the Oticon More, which is probably the world's best hearing device, will sweep the room 360, and that involves deep neural networks. So the hearing devices retrain the brain to understand voice, understand words, and that gives much better speech understanding for the hearing aid user.
The hearing aid market is quite an unusual market in that in some respects you're competing with the HSE who are handing out free hearing aids.
Yeah, that's true. And that is the same in a number of European markets. The problem is the HSE's hearing devices are a certain quality. So they're a certain level of technology. You're also, which would be on the lower end, you're also you could be waiting years to receive a HSE device if you qualify for one in the first instance. So, yeah, we're happy enough to operate in the market along beside the HSE. There's room for both of us. There's room for all of us. And the HSE, of course, as they dispense hearing devices, raise awareness of hearing loss, and that's helpful for everybody in the market.
So what ultimately leads somebody from, let's say, having a free hearing aid from the HSE to coming through your doors and looking at spending money on one?
You know, we position ourselves as the modern hearing care expert in the market. So we deliver a personalised, patient-centric service to our patients. If you go the HSE route, you know, I'm not saying you're a number, but certainly you're in a queue. Whereas with us, you know, if there's any issues whatsoever, you know, we're there for you. We're in constant contact. We proactively invite our patients in every 6 months just for checkups to see how they are, for a chat. So that proactive approach is extremely personalised, and our patients love it.
I'd like you to talk us through some of the innovations that have taken place in that hearing aid technology space in recent years, because I was reading an article there recently and it was mentioning about mental health monitoring and speech detection and remote fitting and connectivity to the internet and so on. Provide us with an overview of what's happening in that space currently.
So there's a lot of gimmicks out there. There's, I guess, the wellness movement, the digital wellness movement is all about wearables. So you wear a watch and it understands how many steps you've taken, it can read your blood pressure. The same is happening with hearing devices to some extent, in that, the modern hearing devices can read your blood pressure, your heart rate. There's even, one manufacturer has a gimmick of it'll translate different languages for you. But ultimately, where the real R&D money has gone into is speech understanding and noise. Bluetooth connectivity is almost standard now with most hearing devices, and the latest range of devices have rechargeable facilities. So there's no batteries needed to be continually changed. You just put them into the charger at night, and off you go, 2 or 3 hours, and you can use them again. But the nanotechnology now that is in hearing devices is incredible, and the top end devices can connect to the internet. That's absolutely true. And then there's various programs that you can use to with your hearing devices. For example, you can connect to your Outlook diary. You can have prompts so that if you have a meeting coming up, it'll tell your hearing devices you have a meeting coming up, and it'll speak into your hearing devices. And that, that's at the gimmicky high end for those who are interested. But really, if you want to talk about advances, it's been able to understand. It's been able to hear almost like normal hearing. So, hearing that you would have had before you had hearing loss. And that is speech and noise, speech in different situations, and retraining that brain to hear more clarity.
And talk to me about the hidden hearing experience during COVID, during the lockdown periods, for the business overall, but as importantly in terms of retaining staff during that period.
So we were very lucky. So we have a Danish parent that, first of all, guaranteed all of our jobs, guaranteed all pay. And what we had to do was we decided we were not going to close. Many of our competitors closed. And we decided we'd go into care mode. So for the 3 months from March to June the 8th, we developed a suite of safety protocols. We risk assessed all of our clinics to get ready for June the 8th. And also, we rang every single one of our patients to ask, were they okay? Did they need anything? We sent them out free batteries. We offered free batteries to every single hearing aid user in Ireland, irrespective of whether they were a patient of hidden hearing or not, because we know how important it is to continue to be able to communicate, particularly in a lockdown where you're living in a micro environment and it's an abnormal situation. So we had all of our staff. The clinics were open for 2 days a week, but those that were not in clinics, and for the other days of the week that we were not in clinics, we provided online training. So we kept the brains of our staff and the skill set of our staff up to speed, so that when we came back on the 8th, we were ready, we were open, and we addressed the pent-up demand immediately.
As we said at the outset, you've now been operating as the Managing Director of Hidden Hearing for 19 years at this stage. So what has been your approach to creating new revenue streams for Hidden Hearing? Has it been through partnership arrangements, product development and or market expansion?
I guess, we positioned ourselves as premium in the market with a very patient-centric approach. That was where, so we don't compromise on product technology. And we don't, we don't just say, right, it's a race to the bottom. We'll offer very cheap hearing devices, irrespective of what the patient needs. So the key to us was the brand. So we've invested a serious amount of resource in our brand. And the brand was really important for when we were on lockdown as well. And that's why we continue to tell people about Hidden Hearing being available to help. And our brand actually came out stronger. So one of the key to our successes and expansion was a brand awareness. So then we invested over 10 million in a rebranding exercise last year, which saw us launch a new logo, new brand identity, new core values, etc. And then we started on the expansion trail. So yes, we continue to invest in marketing that increases our brand awareness. We continue to invest in CSR campaigns to raise hearing health up the health agenda, and we have our standard, strategy of traditional marketing and digital marketing. But I guess our people have been the key to our success also, in that we invest a lot in our staff. We want our staff to be engaged. We want our staff to be on brand, so that we build that patient loyalty. So referrals are very important to us, and that's where we're going with our latest expansion. Is we're partnering with GPs all across the country, primary care centres and individual practices. And also we have one of the large supermarket chains that we're just about to sign a deal with. I can't tell you about that now, but again, it's another channel to deliver local community services.
I can see that making a lot of sense, especially now after coming through the COVID pandemic and it accelerating the amount of people that are switching and transitioning to e-commerce. You have a huge presence in rural towns right across this country from a retail perspective. Are you concerned in any respect about footfall numbers on main streets across the country over the coming years?
I've always been concerned about it, and that's why we have a hybrid model, which is we have bricks and mortar in the main towns around Ireland, but in the rural settings, in the communities that are not as large, we are in primary care centres and medical centres. So, we don't have that bricks and mortar footprint, but we are present. And that allows us to, a variable cost to go into a location and being able to deliver a service that is cost effective for us, but still, is premium for our patients. So I do see footfall diminishing in all across Ireland. But again, we're by appointment, so footfall doesn't drive our business.
And just on that basis then, Stephen, because your business is by appointment and you're not overly reliant on passing footfall, why are you located on the main streets of retail towns right across the country, paying high rents and high rates as a result?
Our target demographic are over 70, so we need to be on a bus route, or we need to be in a location where we have easy accessibility. So you'll find us, most of our shops are in centres, but they're not right on Main Street. And I think that strategy is still works for us. and particularly in, the smaller, not the big cities as such, but, the larger towns, we can still get quite competitive rents. And of course, we can provide a better service in a shop, in a dedicated clinic, because we have more equipment, we have a clinic coordinator, etc. So it still makes sense for us to have that hybrid model.
And earlier this year it was announced that Hidden Hearing would be creating 150 jobs in Ireland as part of its expansion plans. What will this expansion look like and what's driving it?
Well, demand is driving it. We have in certain, particularly in the west coast of Ireland, we just do not have enough audiologists to cater for the demand. So there's multidisciplinary roles that require. So I need people in clinic coordinators. I need audiologists, and there's more people in our marketing department required. Support services. We have an internal customer service department. We have an internal contact center. So it's right across the business. It's leveraging that, our resources to build for the future. And we're constantly recruiting. So we have a business in Northern Ireland as well. So it's across both jurisdictions that we're adding staff, we're adding resources, we're adding IT infrastructure, etc. So yeah, it's a plan over 5 years to employ an additional 150 people. So we're really, really excited about that.
It's a very positive outlook. And finally, Stephen, after almost 20 years at the helm of Hidden Hearing, what has been the most important lesson that you've learned over that time?
I suppose I have two thoughts on that. And one is to surround yourself with really smart people. I know when I was young, coming into the business, I thought that, I could do everything. When in fact, the key to the success in the last few years is recruiting recruiting people who believe in what you do and have that passion and fire in their bellies to really, deliver on the brand promise and live the core values every single day. That's the first thing. And I guess looking after your people as well. So we've done a lot of work on employee engagement and on building people for success. So when somebody comes into this organization, I say, look, we will develop you, we will build you for success. We want you highly engaged. And the quid pro quo for that is that you live our brand values, you give us the very best of yourself, and together we will make greatness.
Well, if you've just tuned in, that was Stephen Leddy, the Managing Director of Hidden Hearing, and I'd like to thank Stephen for providing us with a fascinating insight into the ethos of a company that is making such a positive impact on so many people's lives.
Southeast Radio's Business Matters with Carl Fitzpatrick.